It's a bird.
It's a plane!
It's the Glute Guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Glute Guys Network. I'm Dr. Aaron. We have a special thing going on today.
Welcome, Luke. I'm Dr. Tom. We're happy to have you on the podcast and go over a couple of different things with you.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait, guys. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be great.
So, a little bit of a review of who Luke is he's my brother. He's Luke Muller. He's a high school boys soccer coach at Leonia High School, the NJIC 2020 Division IV Coach of the Year and All NJIC Coach of the Year, 2020 League of Champions, 2020 Coaching Staff of the Year at Leonia High School, NJIC 2021 Liberty Division Coach of the Year, NJIC 2024 Liberty Division Coach of the Year, also middle school girls basketball and softball coach. He's a personal trainer, and he's an event organizer. He's the brainchild of Leonia Day.
Those are some awesome credentials, Luke.
Thank you, thank you.
My favorite one is the brainchild.
Yeah.
I don't know what a brainchild is, but that's what Luke is.
Well, you have to be one to know one, Aaron. So
Yeah. So I mean, going a little bit into it, Luke. We'll first ask you, I guess, about like personal fitness and health and that stuff. Like, what do you do day to day, health, fitness wise?
All right, so I kind of go about and do a couple of different things. Also depends on what season because I coach three sports, so the sport sometimes takes over the end of my days and after school and all that because I'm a teacher. So really it varies, but typically I'll go to the gym at 5 in the morning, get a good workout in, and then if I have some time during school and I have like a prep period, I'll go work out and do a little bit either cardio or a little bit lighter stuff, nothing really crazy or like accessory work.
Mhm.
But I main workouts in the morning, and then I do like the accessory cardio stuff during the day during my prep periods. And I just found it works because a couple of years ago, or for the first couple years I was coaching, I was exhausted leaving practice, and then I would still go to the gym and be shot, and maybe wasn't getting the best workouts in. And I was like, you know what, let me shift some things around. So I started doing a lot more lifting in the morning. I just feel like it's a lot better. I got a lot more energy throughout the entire day. And then at the end of the day, I have so much more time to actually do stuff for myself instead of it just being strictly sports and doing all that crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
that's usually what my at least daily looks like.
It is funny because if I do a workout in the morning, I feel awful. Like I feel like I have no
Yep.
energy, and
Really?
yeah, like I lift a lot less in the morning. Like if I do a bench press in the morning versus like after like at like 8 at night, like in the morning I struggle with like 225, and at night I could do like 245. Okay, so it's like significantly different for me.
See, I'm weird. It depends on the day for me, but I can do either. Like I
You
have I woken up at 5 in the morning, get to the gym in before work. Yeah, but I find myself like falling asleep at work, and really relying on like the energy drinks. And I've tried to like I've now cut those out, so it makes it a little rougher that caffeine kick. So yeah, I've been going at night a little bit more often now myself too.
Yeah, because it really just gets like I love going in the afternoon, but the gym that I go to is packed at 5, 6 o'clock when practice is over, and I'm like, I just want to have to deal with fighting for like a bench or fighting for a squat rack or whatever. If
Yeah,
you go in the morning, the same 20, 25 people that they kind of know your routine, you know their routine, you just get in, get your 45-minute hour workout in, and you're out.
you just try to avoid those like those old guys. You just try to talk about like their time
Oh,
when they were kids. And you're like, yeah,
yeah,
I
exactly.
actually I
They
just
love
made a
to
short about that. I made one today where I saw this short of this guy who was like a funny he makes funny stuff. I forget what his name is, but he was basically saying like, oh, if there's no one in the gym, then you start to do like stuff that you would normally not do because you think people are watching you.
Oh yeah,
yep.
And I interjected and I said, "There's always somebody watching you."
Oh yeah. I love people watching in the gym just to see some of the like ridiculous
oh,
exercises,
100%.
Yeah,
especially from like a PT standpoint. I'm just like you start to like analyze people's like form. You're like, no, you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yep, absolutely.
Luke, what would you say? Like, what type of strength training do you do?
I like doing Olympic lifts. So
Hmm.
I like building that in. I feel like it's pretty functional. It's not really. I don't do like the CrossFit. It's more just I like building in the Olympic lifts. So doing the cleans, doing the snatches. Um, just because I enjoy it and I feel the best when I'm doing them. When I'm doing more of the bodybuilding type workouts where it's strictly just bench press, squats, deadlifts, like that type of stuff, or um, just using like machines, I don't feel the best. I feel like I get a really good workout in, gets your heart going. You feel great leaving the gym. So that's usually what I'll end up focusing on, especially in the beginning of the workout. So like I start off the Olympic lifts, then I'll back off and do more accessory stuff or more like isometric movements when I'm doing that.
Yeah, the compound exercises are always really good to start with because they're typically involving like a majority of your body, especially Olympic lifts when you're talking about like cleans and snatches and whatnot.
Oh
You're
yeah, yeah,
using multiple muscle groups. So you want to start that in order to kind of like, one, you have the most energy at the start of your workout and it's going to
yeah.
prime you for everything else after that too.
And
Yeah,
that's
I
like
probably. Oh, sorry. What were you gonna say?
that I heard. I think it was in college, but you want to treat like your workout like a funnel, where you do the big compound exercises up top, and then as you go down, you go more to the accessory fine muscles. Like if you're doing like leg day, you're doing the cleans or squat cleans, working your way all the way down to like calves at the end, because your calves are being used during your squat cleans. But if you use your calves first, you're taking away from the actual compound exercise that you're doing. That's
Yeah.
just what I think that's what I learned.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. To be honest with you, I don't even do that many like isolation exercises anymore. I'm starting to do more again now, just because I feel like it's just better, especially for like biceps and triceps to have a little bit more isolation.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like everything else, I mostly just do compound exercises that hit a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
then on other days do a lot of other workouts too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a sort of a wide variety of stuff that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say I kind of train just like Luke, where it start out like more like compound, like on certain like a chest try day. Like I'm starting out with like my bench, and then kind of tailoring down from there and getting more like accessory-esque and more like fine-tuned like exercises. But I do like to start with like the compound lift first, because if you try to do your compound lift at the end of the exercise or end of the workout, you're not really gonna have much energy left.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for me, like a chest day would be like bench, maybe incline or like a log press or overhead press. Then I would just do parallettes. So parallettes are like the little things you put on the ground, like handles on the ground, and then you could like attempt to do like a planche. Does everyone know what a planche is?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna be honest, I
Um,
actually don't know what a planche is.
I think we have to put a photo up online, but a planche is
I'll put it right over
basically
here.
yeah, a planche is basically like arms straight and your body like straight on the ground. Your body is like straight, but you could do like bent knee planches too.
I do want to just tell the viewers that Aaron is just wearing booty shorts and not boxers on the podcast, so everyone knows.
I was thinking that when I stood up that these shorts were not only like they are long, but they were riding up. Hold on a second. Hold on a
All
second.
right.
See, look, they're a reasonable length. They were just really riding up there.
There's a little bit.
It's just fingertips, Aaron. Fingertips on the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know what we were talking about.
We're talking about planching.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which is
So basically, it's like a full body workout. You use a lot of like scapular stability, a lot of shoulder stability to do the stuff, and then obviously it's some chest and that stuff too. So like I do have some overlap when I do things. Like even a planche is a good amount of like back and core as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Now, our third little thing on personal fitness is: have you ever tried any diets? Are you currently on any diets?
So yes and no. I haven't exactly tried like been on a specific diet, but I'll just try and eat like certain ways. For example, right now eating like I'm eating more not really animal based, more just like whole foods.
Mm.
Mm.
So it's just like limiting all of the crap, limiting all of like the extra stuff and just kind of just going to the very, very basic. So like my breakfast is just very simple. It's just 4 eggs. I put a little bit of sour cream and I have some sourdough and a little bit of fruit on the side. My lunch, I'll have sweet potatoes, steak or chicken with some sweet potatoes And then dinner is kind of like up in the air, whether I'm at my fiance's house or having dinner, or whether I'm making dinner myself. Is usually somewhat of the same variation. And then I'll snack here and there with like a yogurt with honey, but that's really about it. I could just try and keep it as simple as I possibly can. In years past, I've tried for a couple of days intermittent fasting. I just didn't really enjoy it. Um, I've tried all different things, but nothing's really stuck. And then all the diets that kind of restrict your food, I just end up getting just feeling like crap and have no energy. And I'm like, way back when I would try that, I'm like, it's not worth it. And now I'm like, however my body is feeling is what I have to make sure I replenish it with. So if for some reason one day I'm exhausted, I had a game before, the day before I was coaching, we had a game, and the next day I just didn't get to bed early enough, and I'm a little hungry. I'll have a little bit extra to eat just because my body needs it. So I kind of gauge it that way. Where energy, cool, I'll just take some extra carbs, extra sweet potatoes, extra fruit. If I had a good workout, make sure I have a little extra protein, and then just make sure I have those veggies and fruits for all the vitamins and nutrients and all that type of stuff. So usually that's what my day will look like.
So
Yeah,
it is very intuitive.
It is.
I
See,
like
I
that.
I think I do think that's good, but there's definitely like a section of of people where that's not good too. Like specifically people who are just overweight and have been overweight for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I know for me, if I eat intuitively, I'll just eat and I won't stop.
Well, that's also like where we kind of talked, like Aaron, me and you have talked about it before too,
Yeah.
where like food can sometimes even become like an addiction in a sense, and like sugar
Oh,
cravings are real. So it's like the way that Luke is doing it in a sense is more of like a balanced diet. He's still monitoring what he's eating and making sure that, like he's getting in what he needs to. And if he needs a little extra, he takes a little extra. He monitors that. But no, food can definitely be like addictive too. So you got to watch that as well.
oh
Hmm.
yeah, because like if you're going throughout the week and you have just say McDonald's every single night for dinner, the next day you're like, what do I want to have for dinner? Your first thought's going to be, I want to have McDonald's because your body is craving all of that. Or you're craving like the fat, you're craving the sugars because you're always having the Coke or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It's like the hardest part's always breaking that habit, but then like it always is when you do break it or you start having some other food to replace whatever you're feeling, you always feel so much better.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
It's not.
Especially with like how you're doing it with like the Whole Foods and whatnot. I'm a big fan of that. My girlfriend introduced that style of eating to me too, where we focus more on like label reading and making sure when there's not a lot of like the additive stuff in it. And it's since switching to that, I feel like I've got like so much more energy and I'm not like looking for more food like I used to in the past. So it's been kind of an eye-opening experience for me too. So I'm happy to hear that it's working for you also.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you have good quality food, you get the nutrients that you need, so you're not as hungry.
Exactly.
exactly. It's
Um, and then like I think we've mentioned it before on the podcast, but like you have to sort of change your lifestyle and not do like a fad diet. Like Luke was saying before, like if you're like trying all these different diets, it's hard to stick to it, and then you can't eat some types of food that you like to eat. And then eventually, it's just like either you don't feel well or you don't make any progress, and then you just like a lot of people will just give up.
Or you
And
get
then
frustrated with it and you're like, you know what? Like, I'm tired of this and I want to eat what I want.
yeah, and that
yeah,
like all of the diets out there, they end up cutting out all the food that you want to have.
Yep.
hmm
You're like, cool, okay, cool, I'm having all this type of stuff. But then if you want to have the pasta, you're like, well, that killed that. Or you want to have pizza, that killed that. And then you're like, well, that sucks. You
Yeah.
know?
yeah. Like this
And,
one diet that I heard of, I won't say whose diet it was, but they said you couldn't eat carrots. Like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
yeah.
What's wrong with carrots?
They have tons
Like
of
for
vitamins
kids,
and minerals.
Yeah, Luke, do you know who that? You know what that diet was? I don't know. You probably don't know.
honestly, or like grandpa. Grandpa's good saying about carrots.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Have you ever seen a rabbit with a, I don't know, have you ever seen a, last I said it wrong, but what do rabbits eat?
Wait, you got cut off for me for a second.
What do rabbits eat?
Carrots.
You can cut off carrots. You know how they're good for your eyes? Because have you ever seen a rabbit with glasses?
That's
Very
true.
true.
It's
Just
true.
Never seen a rabbit wear glasses. So carrots are good for your eyes.
yes.
All you kids out there who watch us, even though there's none, eat your carrots.
I, I think we actually specifically labeled that it's not meant for kids, but
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
if you're watching it with your parents' permission, then that's cool.
That's why I said because there's none. But sort of transitioning into the coaching realm of things,
Yeah.
how would you apply your personal fitness and health to your athletes, or do you modify it
I'll
a lot for them?
I'll kind of just I'll go into coaching and teaching because it's both connected.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first decided to be a teacher and a coach, I told myself that I want to be in the best shape I can possibly be because if I'm a fitness ed and health teacher, I want to be a representation of what I believe the kid should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not doing that, then I'm in the wrong field. So if I'm someone that's overweight, I'm not getting good sleep, I'm not drinking my water, I'm not doing all the different things I should be doing, and I don't look the part, I don't feel like that's the job I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I always think about that. So when I am either teaching a class in health or I'm talking to my kids, they hopefully will have a little bit more respect for the thing that I'm saying because they see that I am embodying what I'm saying. And I'm not just saying it just to say it, where when I go home, I have 5 cans of Coke or whatever it might be. No, I go home and I eat the way I should be eating, and that then translates directly into the conversation I have with my kids. Like, for example, when I go into my driver's ed class and I'm teaching, I'm always eating yogurt and honey because I just finished working out. And it's just then that brings up questions that asking, oh, you just worked out and all this other stuff. And so the same thing goes for coaching. So they see how I'm eating, they see that what I'm doing, they see that I lift weights, and I'll do some runs with them. And this past year, not so much, but in years past, I have beaten most of them in the sprints, in the runs. This year we had a lot of faster kids, or maybe I got a little bit slower. But they see I can keep up. They see I can do those things, or I can perform different soccer moves, soccer skills, and like, oh, okay, so you could do that, so I believe I can do that as well. Um,
I actually think it's very similar for us too. Like, if I always said that, like, I never want to be like a very out of shape physical therapist because, like, if I can't do anything, how can I tell people to do stuff?
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like it's the practice what you preach method, you know? It's just like if I'm delivering like in physical therapy, movement, like and every like the sport related esque activity that we do is what we preach, then
Mhm.
if I'm not taking my own medicine, then why are they going to take my medicine?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I think. What it comes down to, I think when it comes to coaching kids, they just want to see one that you care, and they just want to see that you are also doing what you're asking them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I
Yeah.
think really helps with that. And so then when we're talking to them, I'll tell them like, look, we just had a good workout today. Please make sure that you're going home, getting some protein, having your carbs, getting your veggies in. We also talk a lot about like pre-game meals and that type of stuff. Like you're not going to McDonald's, you're not going to Jersey Mike's and eating a whole sub and having chips and having soda right before you play. You want to make sure that you're eating a little bit better. Here are some foods, like examples of food that they should eat, just to give them the good energy that they need.
So let me
Yeah.
cut you off there. So are you saying that it's not a good idea to drink a gallon of chocolate milk before a practice?
Probably not.
Something tells me you used to do that on the regular, Aaron.
Oh no, no, no! It wasn't on the regular. There was one time freshman year in football where I decided to drink a gallon of chocolate milk before practice, and
Probably.
I threw up so much.
First of all, I just want to say that that's impressive that you were able to finish a gallon of chocolate milk, just
Oh
a
yeah,
gallon of milk in general. And
yep.
then, how hot was it outside when you did this?
Um, I don't remember. It was definitely early in the year, so it was definitely pretty toasty. It was at least
Chocolate
like,
milk on a hot day, and then we're gonna start tackling each other. I feel
oh
bad for the
yeah.
kid that you threw up on.
Oh no, I just ran off to the side and threw up on the side.
Thank
That's what we were
God.
supposed to do when we threw up in football.
But
But I still remember there was this one part or one day when my sophomore year was the worst because had to wear full pads for like double sessions,
Mm.
and we were also on a dirt field that just flung dirt right into your lungs. And just looking over in the middle of practice, and probably like 10 to 15 guys were just on one knee, just vomiting. And then you see our
That'll do
coach
it.
just like this is terrible. You're so out of shape.
Because I know who you're talking about. Shake
Yeah.
your head.
Yep. Yep.
It's just picture.
No,
Oh
to go
man.
back to what Luke was saying, it's basically you're preaching to the kids, especially like when we're talking about like athletes, and you want to train them about this when they're young, especially when they want to progress and maybe get to the college level, or even the rare few that can make it to the professional level at these sports. You want to treat your body like a car, and you want to put the best like fuel that you can in it. Otherwise, the engine isn't going to run the way it should.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um. So one question, I guess, sort of related to that. Do you have any kids that are currently in college or playing college, or um?
Of two that play, one that played, one that is currently playing, and then we might have some this year that are going to go play in college potentially.
That's
So
pretty good.
we still have to see
Yeah,
with
I
that.
guess it's always a tough process. Is
Yeah.
that so? I guess you have contacts, like you know a lot of other coaches.
I know a lot of the high school coaches, not a lot of the college coaches, but in college I took a coaching course
Hmm.
at Montclair, and at the course they go through a lot of the different like college recruitment, what you're looking for, just so you can help guide the kids in the right direction. So like, here are the different steps that I would take to do it. I'll like if anyone's ever interested, whether it's one of my soccer guys or someone else, I'll be like, here are different things. Let's set up a Google Drive and start kind of making documents. Like I'll share with them, give them like tips. Here's some things I would recommend, that type of stuff, just to make it a little bit easier for them. And then I can also keep them accountable to make sure that they're staying on top of the stuff they should be staying on with. Bless you. So
Thank you.
yeah.
I muted myself for a second there.
But yeah, so that's usually what I'll do. Is it's definitely very difficult. I don't have many contacts, but the more that you coach, the more contacts you end up developing or growing. So
Yeah, that's what I figured because you're very. I mean, how long have you been coaching now? Like 10 years?
if you count the 1 year where we grew up as a JV coach, that would be 10. At the high school, it's 9 years with 1 year as a JV coach. So technically, there's like 8th year as a head coach.
Yeah, so
It's
like,
a long
it makes
time.
sense that it's going to take even like 9 to 10 years isn't that long in the grand scheme
No,
of things. So yeah, it just makes it that much. It's not always easy, to, I guess, to have those contacts.
no.
But it's got to still feel like pretty accomplishing, like to know that some of your athletes have gone up to like that
Oh,
that college level.
and 100%. And that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of kids that can absolutely play in the college level, but it's up to them whether they want to do it or not. Like, I want to say there's probably at least 4 or 5 guys that if they really wanted to, they could have gone and played D3. But that's again, if you're choosing education, cool. That's the same thing for me. I could have gone to a couple schools and played soccer, but I decided, you know what, the education is more important to me. The schools that I got offers from, they didn't have the education major, so I'm like, you know what, I really know this. I know this is what I want to do. I know I want to be a phys ed teacher. I want to be a coach. I'd rather go down this road. So I'm sure, like, that's why any kids that are like, you know what, this is what I want to do. I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
If
Sometimes
you
most
want to major in something and minor in chasing ladies, you got to go for it. That's what my high school football coach told me.
oh,
Shout out to
Um,
the high school football coach.
yeah, I'll take
There we go.
it. Tag him on this thing. I doubt he's still. Oh, actually, he might be still coaching. That's another story for another day. Um, wow, I'm having a brain fart.
Go over some coaching styles that Luke has. That's something we can dive into.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You have any like unique coaching styles that you've kind of adopted now, or like sports specific training versus like
so
whole things that you like to do?
I I don't know. I firmly believe that everything's connected. I
Mhm.
think one thing that nowadays people don't do is they don't play multiple sports and they play one specific sport and they feel the need to play one specific sport. So it's not like as a coach, I really try and push kids to, for example, if you're playing soccer, try and do something during the winter, whether it's basketball or something else, then After basketball, go and run track. Go do something else because all the things are connected. Play soccer, cool. You're gonna get your foot skills up. You're gonna get your conditioning up. You go play basketball. You're working on your vertical. You're working on sprints, all that, and then you go to track and getting back into working on your running form, working on long distance or sprints or whatever it is. So I firmly believe everything's connected. So yes, I want to coach all my soccer guys on specifically soccer, but I want to push them to be better athletes in general because I believe better athletes are better players in your specific sport. Or if I have a choice between one kid that's a soccer player that's incredible or having a kid that's a very good athlete that's top tier in all categories, I'm going to go for that kid just because I know that he's playing all year round and he's working hard and he has good work ethic and balancing the student athlete type stuff.
So you
So
find like he has more potential to improve because he'll put more time into it, maybe.
yeah, because like if you have one sport, just say like for you, you had football, you know,
Mhm.
and you also
I,
did then you also did track and did throwing and that type of stuff. All the stuff is connected. So like yes, the main sport is football for you, but because you did the throwing, that also translates directly into football.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I was saying, same thing with soccer. If your main sport is soccer, and you go to basketball, you're working on your vertical, so you can work on headers, you can work on all that. Then you go to cross country, or you go to track, or go to baseball, or whatever. You're working on your fine motor skills, working on form. So it's all connected directly back to soccer instead of the wear and tear that's just constantly running every single day doing the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
So one thing I was thinking just earlier is, and it's based off what you're talking about too, but how do you think coaching has changed like in the last like 10 to 15 years? Or is that hard to say?
no, I think that the I don't think I think coaching has adjusted because of the athletes. And I think it's had to change because of how the athletes are being treated.
Mhm.
So I think a lot
Hmm.
of kids now, when we were growing up, you could be very, very hard on the kids, and you can make them do this. You do all these different things. You can yell at them, you could curse at them, all that type of stuff. But nowadays, a lot of that is kind of just you want to not go down that route as much, or they still do it, but they don't like seeing it as much of the yelling and the cursing and all that. So you have to kind of adjust the way that you're talking to the athletes to get to them because some of them will just completely shut down, some of them will listen. But I think that it hasn't really been the coaching had to somewhat adjust because of how the athletes are. You
Hmm.
know, I think
Yeah.
that especially with, and this is just not just coaching, but students in general, everything that happened with COVID, how a lot of kids nowadays that are in high school were in middle school when they were learning all the different things. During COVID, they lost a lot of the communication skills. So when you try and communicate in specific ways or certain ways, they won't respond to it and they won't listen to it.
So do you think it's almost like when we were kids that like we had to adapt to the coach regardless of what they said, and now it's more like coaching has to adapt to the athlete?
Kind of. I think it's a combination of the two now. Like you see, depending on who you are, if they're newer coaches, it's a little bit harder because you're trying to create a presence for yourself.
Hmm.
Where older coaches can kind of, I think it really depends, is
It's
what
kind
I
of
think.
it's very dynamic in a way. It's just like, it's they both kind of have to adapt to each other, and I'm sure that Luke can also preach to the point that like every athlete kind of reacts a little different, and you kind of have to coach in a way to that athlete, depending on how they're going to react. Like I had a coach who used to like, I mean, as a swimmer in high school, he knew that if he just berated me the way that Luke is talking, like how old coaches do, it would get through to me and it would push me, while he would kind of coddle and be nicer to other swimmers who just that wasn't their coaching style. He knew to get through to me, like that's how you had to coach me, knew how to get through to the other person, and we just kind of switch it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's sort of like physical therapy too, in that each person's going to be different. Like just because you have like a knee replacement doesn't mean everyone's going to respond differently to a knee replacement.
Aaron, you
Yeah.
don't yell at all your patients?
I'm the nicest person ever. Um,
Wait,
I really don't yell very much, honestly.
not
I
even.
I mean maybe a little stern every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't yell a lot either as a coach, to be honest.
I feel like there isn't usually like a need to, unless like someone's doing something so wrong that it's going to result in them or someone else getting hurt.
Correct. And
That's different.
that's usually whenever I get annoyed or I yell as a coach. Oh, I want to say 85, 90% of the time is because of player safety.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
somebody's not doing something correctly, or you're going to make a stupid decision, or calls aren't being made, or the other coach, like the other team, is slide tackling us that they in seems very malicious. Like those are the times I typically will start yelling. Outside of that, it's
All right, I have a fun little game that I just thought of.
I
oh
have one
Should we
quick
try it
cool
out? Oh, okay.
question related to the yelling.
yeah.
Luke, can you do that really cool like coach whistle?
Oh god, I can't just because my fiance's parents are sleeping upstairs.
Well, in general, you can.
Oh
You're
yeah,
able to.
100%.
I've been trying to practice it for so long, and there was one time that I was picking up my girlfriend for like our like going on a date, and we were like
Mhm.
early on in dating, and I was practicing, and right before the date, I spit all over myself. It was great. But that was an explanation that I had to give. But
I
anyway,
actually,
your game.
I think I actually learned how to do it before Luke, but then I forgot how to do it, or like I can't do it anymore.
See, this is what
Yeah.
happened. I was at Montclair as a teacher. You have to learn how. You have to always have your whistle with you. And I was like, you know what? What if I just happen to lose my whistle? So I was like, you know what? Let me teach myself. I looked up some videos. Let me teach myself how to whistle. So that way, just in case I lose it, I don't get points off for the day. So the one day I actually left my whistle in my apartment. We go to class. She's like, all right, practicing whistles today. And I go, I didn't bring mine, but can I just whistle with my hand? She goes, it's not going to be loud enough. I was like, oh, it's going to be loud enough. And I
Hell
went
yeah.
like, all right, you're good.
Watch this, lady.
Exactly.
All right, here's my idea. We don't have to do it, but we could. Each one of us has to go or say the last time we had to yell at somebody, or at least at our jobs, and
Ooh.
why. Thoughts? Shall we do it?
I have to think. Give me 2 seconds. Does it like for me? Does it depend who I have to yell at? Who I yelled at?
Oh, it's whatever you want. This is the last
Hmm.
time you had to yell at a person for any reason.
Did it not be a job? Because I yelled at a guy this morning from my gym.
I mean, if you want to, it was supposed to be like our work related, but it
Well,
could be.
but
I like this. Why'd we get angry?
All right, fine. Yeah, what was it? What was it at the
so,
gym?
so here's what happened. It wasn't at the gym. It was I check my bank account every now and then just to see that I'm not getting extra charges or whatever. The past 2 months for my gym has charged me double, or actually past 3 or 4 months have been charging me double. One's on the 17th, one's on the 19th. And I keep calling them to cancel the account. And I'm like, okay, cool, whatever it is. Call the guy today. He's like, all right, you got to call this number. So I call the number, talking to the guy, and supposedly I have two accounts that were somehow created. One is at my actual account that has all of my information on it. One is just my name. So when I was talking to the guy on the phone, he goes, "What's the name on the account?" I said, "Here's my name and whatnot." He goes, "It's not showing up." I was like, "What if you do? What if you flip it?" So I flipped it, put my last name as my first name as the last name. It's like, "Oh, it worked." And I'm like, long story short, to cancel my account that I never created, that the gym created because I called them, I had to pay $95, where my actual account is only $20.
That's terrible.
That's
I
a
was getting very heated with the guy because I'm like, first off, I never created the one account that is currently there. The gym did it when I made my cancellation for my family plan that I had. And why the hell am I going to be paying $95?
Hey,
yeah. No, that deserves
that's
some
a fair
yelling.
question.
So I was getting very heated, and I just like, you know what? I'm not talking to you anymore. I got off the phone. I'll talk to the gym tomorrow. But it wasn't even the gym. It was like a third party that I had to call to cancel it. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
just
tough.
you messed this up. You got to figure this out because I'm not paying $95, $100 to cancel an account that it really isn't my account that you guys did something wrong with.
Yeah, like you're the ones who messed it up.
Yeah,
Refund me.
exactly. So
Well,
that's
I'm
my
deep in thought. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I'm deep in thought about this now. I don't even know if I have anything yet.
like. I don't like at school. I don't really yell. I'll talk sternly to kids. but that's just
Yeah.
because them being
Exactly.
fit. But like, it's never like a yell. Today, I was just getting very heated with this guy.
Huh.
Yeah. So my story is I was in memory care. For those of you who do not know, memory care is a place where people who have like I guess basically memory problems or cognitive problems will stay. So a lot of times these people have other like motor issues or like difficulty following directions or maybe difficulty like understanding things that like we find easy. So I was sitting there, talking to one of my patients, and we are having a jolly old time. And then I'm going to use different names, but we'll say um, Greg and Sam. And I look over across the room, and I see Greg and Sam start talking to each other. I'm like, okay, this is fine. My
Is Sam
patient
a
was.
man or a woman?
They're both women, but those were the first names that came to mind. So Greg and Sam,
Yeah.
the two
And in turn of
ladies,
events, I thought Greg was a man.
no,
Okay.
both women.
Cool.
So I was just trying to do anything that was like not their names, and that's what came up. Um, but Greg and Sam, they're talking a little bit, and then Greg takes Sam's blanket, and that sounds like a small thing, but it's not when you're in memory care because you want your blanket in memory care. And I just look over, and I said Greg want or took the blanket, right?
Yeah.
Sam just started walking over and was just like
Haymaker
about
incoming.
to punch her right in the face. And I was like, hey, stop it! And like all the aides that were, I guess they're in a meeting or something, like came running out. So I don't even know if it was really me like being that mad, but she did not punch her.
I would take Sam not to knock out Greg in round one with
Yep.
for like probably like plus 150. That's fine.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was gonna be a strike and a half. That was a knockout punch ready to happen because there's not gonna be one dodge there. It was just gonna be a oh
I had a joke
oh.
lined up, but I reeled myself back in just so you know. Just so you know.
Hey, sometimes we have to reel it back a little bit. I don't know if that
Okay.
was the best one ever.
Greg probably wouldn't remember it anyway. But anyway.
Neither did Sam.
Oh God. No, most of the time I'm yelling at not so much patients. Sometimes every now and then my boss will just the chiropractor, he's just like, hey, so and so's going to your table. That's who I'll yell at Jeff. Love Jeff, but I'll yell at him. He
I
usually
hate
deserves it,
Jeff.
but that's okay.
Jeffs are the worst.
But no, Jeff and I we're it's like brothers, so it's a loving yell.
If
Yes.
the Jeff I know is watching this, I don't like you.
Not my boss, different Jeff.
Yeah, different Jeff. Not Dr.
I love
Tom's
my
boss.
boss, not that
Yeah,
Jeff.
he's fine. But the one I know. Oh boy.
Oh man.
Yeah. So Luke, I know that you're also middle school
Hmm.
softball and basketball, right?
Yes.
How do you think that differs from high school? Like, is it pretty much the same? Like, I guess people like are a little bit more sensitive with stuff. Well, I know it's also girls too, so that also switches it up.
Yeah, I would say that. So what I found is that 100%, whether it's a guys team or a girls team, whichever you're coaching is different in regards to how you have to coach them and how they also show up to a practice.
Mhm.
Guys, when you coach them, things usually go in one ear out the other. For
Mhm.
girls, typically you tell them and they pick it up fairly quick, most of them. So that's like a very big difference in regards to like I could tell my soccer guys 18, 20 times that you should be doing this, 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 and this, and they are going for like a header, and usually it takes them a long time to actually get to it. Where the girls will run something or do something in softball, they will pick it up pretty quick.
Do
At the
you
same
think?
time,
Mhm.
huh?
I was gonna say, do you think that is also a bad thing? Um, like sometimes in sports, it's good to have like a short term memory, so you don't like if
Yeah,
you do a bad thing, it gets you. Or like if you say something mean to someone,
Mhm.
I can see someone might be like, oh, they were mean to me. I don't want to
Yeah.
talk more.
Well, that's what the other thing I was going to say is that with guys' sports, you could be annoyed with each other outside of the sport, but you can go play and be perfectly fine. Where girls, you'll be annoyed with each other, and that'll directly affect how the game actually is going.
Interesting.
So that's the two differences I see with the guys and the girls' sports. Now, in regards to the actual gameplay, it's very similar because you're doing the same thing. With high school, with middle school sports, you're always emphasizing fundamentals. Never
Yeah.
do like you'll go into a little bit more detailed info when for high school stuff, but a lot of the stuff that I would if I was coaching the middle school boys soccer team or girls soccer team, I'd probably be doing just about the same thing. I would just take some of the drills to another level, or I would not be on the exercise as long. So like middle school, if you're doing it for high school, you're doing it for 20 minutes. For the middle school, I do it for like 35, maybe 40 minutes because I'm trying to really hone in on one specific thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
because you're still like I guess learning the sports that you're playing.
exactly. And like right
Yeah.
now, with for example, with basketball, all I'm having them do, we haven't gone over really plays. We're not going over that type of stuff because my thing is on the middle school level, if you can't shoot the basket and score, what's the point of running a play?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You need to score to win. If we can't score and make a shot, then what good's the play going to do?
Exactly.
You can't
So
execute the end portion of it, so we need to start with that.
yeah, so it's like if I give you concepts and I can get you to score a basket and we can put it all together, fantastic. Then we start running plays.
Mhm.
But if you can't run the play and you can't score, then you're just going to look like you're just all chaos.
Yeah, and that's something that Aaron and I have talked about, especially when it comes to sports and whatnot too, is that that part whole kind of training, where it's just like you have to kind of break it down. He says, all right, we know how to dribble, we know how to pass, we know how to shoot. Now let's put it together, let's do something fun and make a play with it.
Yeah, and that's like the big thing I do with soccer, like what we talked about earlier with coaching, is I'll start off the practice doing the very very basic that develops directly into what we're, the end game is at the end of practice. So
Yeah.
for folks dribbling at the beginning of practice, the end game is going to be something that's going to reward the dribbling. If it's going to be shooting or headers or whatever it is, to start the practice with that, reward it at the end, so they have fun in doing it, but also getting everything out of it that we focus on from the start.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean and correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, but I feel like for all sports, it always comes down to the fundamentals. If you don't have that foundation of fundamentals, then we're not never going to be able to advance and progress ourselves.
And that's the one thing I heard is the difference between the every. I think I just heard at the beginning of the soccer season this year. There's no difference between the drills that a elementary or just let's say high school kid is doing and the pros are doing.
Mhm.
The difference is that as a high schooler, you're making 7 mistakes. As a pro, you're making 2 mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's just the consistency that you're building up and developing because of all the fundamental stuff that you're focusing on that allows for you to go from level up every single time. So that's really the only difference is just the consistency and the amount of time that you've put into whatever you're trying to focus on.
Yeah. Now, do you tell like some of your athletes like we were told when Aaron and I played rugby together, even just to go and watch like videos of some of like the pro teams, like hey, like when you go home, you're bored, you're scrolling on TikTok,
Oh
let's
yeah.
look up some like pro players, like watch what like Messi can do, watch what like for your basketball players, or like go look at like so I'm
Right.
not a basketball guy, but I'll throw LeBron out there
Yeah.
and see what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And you do you talk to your athletes about stuff like that too?
Yeah. So we do a combination of different things. So we all of our games are recorded. So we use Huddle. So every game, I tell them go watch the game when you get home and rewatch and see all the mistakes that you made and all that. But then at the same time, every now and then, 2 or 3 times throughout the season, we'll have a day on like a Saturday or something that we go to the school. We have practice for a little bit, and then there's games on, so we'll watch some games together. So kind
Nice.
of like team bonding thing, so you can watch, you can talk about it, break it down a little bit, but then bring it right back to like what we've been doing. So that's what how we kind of bring it and tie it together to make sure the kids are watching the games, but also making it fun and doing it together.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot, especially because it's you're now incorporating exactly what the pros do, where it's you're playing the game, you're watching the film, and you're like going over what mistakes and just constantly trying to improve yourself, and that's what makes better athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I
the thing.
know. Oh,
Huh?
I know for us when we were in high school football, like after we would watch film, we would go have a pasta party,
Yeah.
and like that's when you, I guess, get to know your teammates more, and we would go out to eat after that too.
Gallons of chocolate milk.
Oh yeah.
No gallons after practice, only before.
Only before. It was like a pre-workout.
Hope that's to work out.
Yeah,
That's what Luke actually has as his pre-workout at 5 a.m. before the gym.
Yep.
no,
Every
the
day.
truth. Luke told me this earlier today. I'm not making this up. Luke actually sits to practice with a gallon of chocolate milk and just chugs it the whole time.
Keep it going.
Gonna put an edited, non-edited picture right here.
Yeah, not edited at all.
Not
Yeah,
edited at all.
definitely doesn't go over his mouth and onto his tummy.
Oh man.
So, I mean, speaking of funny things that happen on the job with coaching, do you have any funny coaching stories?
So I was thinking about it, and there's one that was just really freaking funny. So the year that we actually won our championship, we were playing one school's like right down the road, and it was like a very, very close game. It was back and forth. I think it was a 4-3 game. We ended up winning with like a couple seconds left, or like a minute or two left. But the one kid is going to take a shot, or no, he's going to get in front of the ball. Kid on the other team clears it, but he gets hit right in the balls, and he goes down. This the referee, it wasn't another player or anything. He's down on the ground for a solid like minute, and the referee comes over. I'm just gonna stand and move the chair. Referee comes over, grabs his arms, and just starts doing this with him. He's like, "You gotta move. You gotta move."
I'm quitting after that.
Shake it
That's
up.
actually too funny.
It was hilarious. I will never forget that. It was.
Got
That's
him.
like sack tap of the year. Oh my goodness.
I was like, and again, of all things, no one else. The referee just runs right over, goes right to him, starts giving him a couple things.
The trainer wrote that one down. Gotta move him.
I know, right? Gotta move, gotta move.
Wait, so do you have the film of that?
No, because it was at an away game.
I was gonna say like we couldn't put that up anyway because of like you can't just put some random kid in the ball sack.
And I want you to go outside and stand. Danielle is going to kick a ball at you. We're gonna
recreate it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll kick one at Danielle, and then we'll just put my face over Danielle so it doesn't look as.
No, we got it. It has to be you.
Has to be you.
Move him.
Oh my goodness, that sounds miserable. That's actually a great story though.
It was so fucking funny.
So it goes into our next one sort of, but as far as like during the game, are there any or I guess at practice too, are there any pet peeves you have for your players doing something and also for the opposing coaches?
So I would say for me, it's being prompt and just when we're talking, just be quiet. Because I'm not there to waste my time. And if you're going to waste my time, then what am I doing there?
Yeah.
So when either myself or my assistant coach is talking, we find it just very important, just be quiet and listen to what we have to say, because we're not going to ever steer you in the wrong direction. That's not our purpose of being here. My purpose also isn't to make money. My purpose is to make you into better athletes and just also better men and better humans. So when we tell you things, make sure you listen to it, because there's always a purpose behind it. And same thing, what we always say is that sports are what help you do a lot of things in your life. So, for example, if you're doing a long distance run or you're doing sprints, and I know in high school, the one thing we had to do was 300-yard sprints under a certain time. Absolutely sucked. But I'm like, if I could do that, there's so many other things that I could possibly do. There's so many other things I could possibly accomplish, because it sucked right there. Mentally, it's killing you, but you were able to get through it.
Yeah, I definitely could see the carryover for myself too. Like so many of the things that we did in football, like when people say things are hard in real life, you're like, oh, it's not that bad.
Been through worse.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's just important that the kids, one, they show up on time, because if you're gonna go to work, you're showing up on time. If you're gonna show up late, It's not going to be a friend saying it. It's going to be you're going to communicate yourself. Or if you can't make it to work, you're going to communicate yourself, not your parents, not anyone else. It comes directly from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then second, just listen to what we are trying to say because we're only trying to make you better. We're never trying to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I will interject real quick. If you want to become a geriatric physical therapist, you can get there late and no one cares.
Well, well, Greg's not going to remember what time he scheduled the appointment, so
Yeah. Yeah. See? Geriatric physical therapy.
he's too busy fending Sam off.
You know, right?
Oh, no, but those are definitely good points though, for sure. Like it is something that you really need to be good at. Like my job is very unique in that like there's a lot of leeway and I drive around from house to house and from
Yeah.
like go to room. So they expect you like it's okay to be late, but like 99 times out of 100 you're probably going to have to be on time with things or else it's going to make you look bad. No
Yeah.
one's going to want to hire you. It's going to make it a lot
I
harder to retain a job too.
Of course. I don't have a lot of leeway with my schedule just because I work inside of a clinic. So it's just like we open at 8 a.m. That patient's there.
Yeah.
If they're late, that's different. That's on them. But it looks bad at me as a provider if I'm not there waiting for my patient.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But that's because they're coming to me, so it's different.
Yeah.
So I guess you sort of use like I guess the training as a way to like help people carry it over to real life.
Mm.
Or like do you like my coach from football or my lineman coach, Coach Watson, used to give us like little things to read that were like motivational and that we could apply to real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you do anything like that, or is it mainly just like talking to them? I guess trying to just give them good morals and good like values for later on too.
I would say it's a combination of a couple different things. Because we use different like group chats. We use like it's called Remind, where I can message like everyone all at once, and so I'll send some stuff on there, and then just my first 3 years I focus on three different aspects. First one being family, then all in, and then legacy. So I'll preach that a lot just because I kind of look at it this way. When you join the soccer team, you're joining like the family. When you join the family, typically most of the kids have very, very big egos, and the egos don't go away till senior year. Some of them you'll hold on to for their entire life. But when you decide that you're going to go all in for family, then your legacy for your you go back to now part of that family as a giving everything and then creating a legacy now for your name. So it's all kind of connected with each other. And that's how I try and preach it, where I know our dad said this all the time, is that your last name says a lot about you. And what other people are saying about you behind your back when they say your name really says a lot about you. So that's why like legacy for me is, and this year that was what we used as our theme which is the legacy is what you leave behind and what people remember you by. And it's all about your last name. So if you say Muller or you say whoever, what do people say?
Yeah, and I think too, like you don't necessarily always like 10 years from now remember exactly what the quote is that like your coach would use, like if you had a
Yeah.
quote for the whole year. But I
Mhm.
know in football, like we always had like a mantra for the year.
Yeah.
And it's usually something that's very applicable to life. And it makes sense. Like that's what it's supposed to be. Like high school sports, like they shouldn't be like the end of everything. Like
No.
they're important, obviously. Like it's good for people to like win championships and stuff like that. But like there's a lot more to life after that
Yeah.
too.
I actually still remember, and it's a long quote. So you're saying quotes. I still remember my swim coach's like quote that he would give us like year in and year out. And I'm talking from like when I started swimming at 10. It was the same quote up until I graduated as a senior. And it was always none of the secrets of success work unless you do. I don't know why I still remember it to this day. It was imprinted in my brain. And to me, it was always just like, yeah, like you know what, like none like you're never going to get to that level of success unless you put in the work.
Yeah.
So we always kind of just preach that side of it. And it's just wild to me that as you said quote, that was the first thing that popped into my head. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I
That's
And
what.
think
it's a long
sometimes
quote. Like that's not something
Yeah.
short.
yeah, I think sometimes we forget that like or just how much or I guess me and Dr. Thomas, physical therapist, um how much like you think of a coach as like a role model.
Yeah.
I guess more so than I would think of. Like I don't really, not that I don't think I definitely could see it for myself too, but I never like think about that when I think of like just coaching in general, how much of a role model they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coaches,
It's not
teachers,
like,
they're raising you from when you're a kid too, you know? It's like you're spending a lot of time with them, especially like coaching at your level too, Luke. Like you're at the high school level, you're gonna see those kids for 4 years. You're part of their life for 4 years.
Exactly. And it's also because I teach them too. I see them in school and I see them after school. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
yeah. So it's like the formative, like probably I would say high school is probably more formative even than like middle school or elementary school because that's when you really start making your own decisions about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that that's when it's probably going to be the most important. Like I remember my middle school coaches for all my sports, but I don't really think they impacted me as much as like my high school football coach or
It's
I
definitely a
put
different
just
level.
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, like they did, but not as much.
No, you have more autonomy when you're in high school, you know, you're making more decisions. You're kind of making a transition into like adulthood in that time period. So, you know, and your coaches directly are helping and teachers are helping you impact your decisions as well. Because it's like, all right, well, am I going to college? Where am I going to college? Is it like what careers do I want to go through? It's like your parents are helping you, but the teachers and the schools are helping you a lot.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where what I try and do the best I can is because I have a lot of kids in health, I'll try and connect stuff in health to the fields or to connect stuff from the field to the stuff that I'm teaching
Mhm.
and making sure that like when you have me in class or whether you have me as as a coach, you kind of know what to expect because I'm preaching very very similar things all the time. And then if they need you, they'll okay, I'll go to Mr. Muller because he talks about weightlifting all the time, or I'll go to him because he talks about whatever it might be, you know.
Yeah, they know what they can approach you for.
Exactly.
All of this going through my mind is just some stories from like my head football coach from high school and some of the things he used to say to people. I can't say those on the podcast. Those aren't good. Those are bad.
We'll just say that it was great advice.
Yes. The one quote that my kids always tell me to say is every pizza is a personal pizza if you try hard enough.
Hey, that's true.
They
I
Have
like
always
you
that one.
noticed?
they always want me to say that one whenever I talk to them about eating.
Hey, I mean it's true. And if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. You could eat the 20-inch pizza. You could eat the 30-inch pizza.
I'm hungry now talking about that.
You could drink a gallon of chocolate milk.
That quote immediately made me hungry. I'm hungry.
Sorry.
Um, Now this is a question that is a Danielle Muller now. My bad, I almost said Revis. Um, Extravanaire. She wants to know: do you find like in health class and coaching that kids' motivation to be active is less than it used to be, or more, or about the same?
So I think it varies. Kind of what we were talking about earlier. What was your favorite subject in high school?
You.
Wood shop.
Wood shop.
Yep.
All right. Tell me about yours.
Mine, I probably have to say the sciences. I was always really big into science classes.
All right, what's your least favorite?
English, that one's easy.
I
100%.
actually probably would say English too.
So this is the way I look at it is that the kids are going to find the motivation in the things that you enjoy. You like woodshop, or you like science. Kids are typically going to get pushed into that direction because they're very much so enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't enjoy it, for example, English, I think for all three of us, um, you're not going to get pulled towards it and you're not going to really want to focus on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it comes down to what kids' internal motivations are. If they want to be a better athlete, they'll be a better athlete because they want to be pushed in that direction because they have a desire to do it. If they don't want to because of friends, because of whatever it might be, maybe they all that everyone in their friend group wants to go out or they want to go do this, and they find that at the time to be more interesting or motivating to them, they're going to go with that because it's more of how their brain works and how they feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's so much as in regards to like everyone, I think it's more specific in how they specifically and how they personally feel about what they're trying to achieve.
Do
Some of my
you?
soccer guys right now, they go out on the soccer field even during the winter and they're playing.
Mhm.
Others are playing Fortnite and doing nothing.
Yeah, so it's hard to
It's hard because the kid that's
focus.
playing Fortnite is really enjoying sitting there, getting a high from playing the video games, where the other kids are going and playing, and they're getting a really good high from playing the sports outside. So it really just depends on the kid and what personally motivates them.
Do
You
you
know,
find that there's any way to, I guess, get kids to do like more activity? I mean, I know it's tough, but like you said, if they want to do something, they're not going to do it. Or if they don't want to do something, they're probably not going to do it.
So
But
you
like,
more so mean to kind of rephrase it, to change their motivation in a way. Like, is there a way
yeah,
you're able to kind of help gear their motivation into wanting to improve more as an athlete, or do you think that's more kind of like mentally up to the kid?
like I know for me, like there's some patients that no matter how much you tell them and how much they even agree with you, sometimes they just don't listen. They're just gonna do what they want to do.
True.
But then there's also people that are like, oh, I don't know anything. Like, should I do something about this? And you tell them, and they're like, oh wow, yeah, I'll do that. And it usually tends to help because they actually do what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
yeah, I think that I don't know. It's hard because it really just does it depends. It depends on the kid,
Yeah,
you know, and that's like
that's
you,
not a bad answer either, though, because it's the same with PT. It's like it's not like every person you have an exact answer for. It's like it's always gray area. Like one of the biggest things we learned in like PT school is that there's not like any black and white. It's all like gray. Like maybe this, maybe that. You never really know a solid answer,
Yeah.
yeah,
which sort of stinks sometimes, I guess. But
Yeah.
I
And you know
guess that's
what?
how life is.
the,
Just like our patients, every athlete's different too. Like I can, like you said, I can sometimes present a plan of care to a patient, say, hey, this is how we're going to fix your back pain. We're going to be able to clear all this out. And they buy into it and it takes off. And then there's other patients where they're just like, no matter what I do, say, try, research I present to them, other patients talk to them in their head, nope, it's done. And there's nothing I can do to change it.
Hmm.
yeah, and what I would say is in regards to like the motivation and all that, it comes down to the kid has to make the decision themselves.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You could say the same thing, like same thing differently 15 times, but the kid at the end of the day has to make that decision for themselves, and they have to come to the realization for themselves.
Yeah.
Also, the hard part is that just in regard, and just because of the day and age that we're in with TikTok and Instagram and all that, they can't focus on things for a very long period of time. And if they don't see instant gratification, um, instant adjustments or changes from what you're saying, they're not going to move in that direction as quickly as you would like for them to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's the other thing is like they have to make that realization that come up with the idea themselves.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. Yep. So I guess you could sort of steer them sometimes,
yeah,
depending
so
on who they are.
this is at least for me for teaching and for coaching, and it drives a lot of my kids nuts, but it's worth it. Is what I find works best is asking questions.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I tell this to everyone. I tell it to my students, tell it to my whoever it is. The more questions you ask, the more information that you gather. But
Hmm.
if I'm asking questions to my students or to my athletes, it could be to guide them into a direction that I know what the answer is, but they're coming up with it themselves. So they feel like they're actually coming up with that idea.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of moving it in that way,
Yeah.
you
That
know,
makes sense, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
but because they typically don't ever ask themselves good questions or the best questions. Where if you ask them those deep questions that really get them to think, then they're really going deep into that of here's what I want to do, here's what I not want to do. Or if they don't understand it, be like, cool. When you figure it out, come talk to me.
Hmm.
And just leave it at that and make them think about it.
Interesting.
So
That was a good call, Aaron. Right.
Yep. Yep. I got to mute for a second so people don't have to hear me hacking into the mic here. Um, I think we have probably one last question.
yeah.
Um,
Which one we hitting them
and
with?
and that is from winning coach of the year.
Mhm.
What do you think made you like above the rest? Like what made it so you were the one that like earned all those awards that we talked about before?
Realizing that it's not about me.
Hmm.
I love it. I love it.
Coaching,
Oh wait.
coaching has nothing to do with coaches have egos. Huh?
Mhm. Wait, no, I got cut off, or I couldn't hear you for a second
It
there.
did get cut off for a second.
Oh,
Wait, technical
yeah.
difficulties?
You can't make.
Wait, Luke, hold
Can you hear
on.
me?
I
Now we
think you're
got
good
go
now.
ahead.
You're good now. You're good now.
Good. All right. I was saying it's not about you, and a lot of coaches make it about themselves. The more that you take that away, I think you see a huge benefit. And like I said, I say this to my soccer guy, I say it to anyone that I talk to, if when we won the championship, I don't want to be in that picture. That's not me. It's not has nothing to do with me. You guys don't want to feel that I'm putting in all the work. Sure, I do the stuff behind the scenes, but I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for all that. I'm in it because I want to see them succeed.
Mhm.
So I think that that is what kind of makes a difference, because then the kids see that and they see that it's not about me. It's not about anything that I do, and I just really want to see them succeed in both the game of soccer and the game of basketball, game of softball, and the game of life over me succeeding because I got 50 wins this season.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, that doesn't. I've had my time playing. That's here and gone. Now it's my time to coach, and I want my players, my students, to accomplish things that they want to accomplish.
Yeah, I think just from talking about everything today, that's like basically the thing that sets I think us as physical therapists above the rest too, and that like you actually care about people, like you care about the people that you're working with, so
Yeah.
you put the time in for them, and people realize when you care about them, like they
Yeah.
actually want to see you and they want you to like come back. Like I've definitely had friends who like knew what to do with treatment
Mm-hmm.
and what to give people, but just couldn't make a connection with people. So it's like it's way harder to do our jobs than someone who um, can connect.
Yeah, you know that like they lack that the empathy portion of it for the patients, and it's like if you don't care about how they're feeling and doing and whatnot, then it's it's not the job for you.
Yeah.
And you said it best right there. You know, it's about the kids and the athletes that you're coaching. I think that's another fantastic coach right there, Coach of the Year 2025.
Hopefully.
I'm just gonna I'm gonna call the school and just be like, hey, suggestion, hang on, anonymous.
But yeah, I think that like there is definitely just a lot of carryover between our two jobs,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think like you always sort of know, but like don't really think about how much carryover there is. Like just about like just
Agreed.
wanting better for the people that you work with in general. It's
Yeah.
sort of nice, sort of heartwarming.
Agreed.
Hmm.
But that's where even just I don't know. I think so many people take things personally where it and that they allow that to impact how they show up on a daily basis.
Hmm.
You know, most of the stuff that people say to you, kids say to you, teachers say to you, whoever it is, has actually nothing to do with who you are. It has to do with maybe the stuff that they're going through. And if you stop taking things personally, where a lot of people take things personally and just be there, I think it makes a huge difference because then people appreciate it.
Hmm.
you know and that's like when I first started coaching, I would teach, coach, go home, watch film till 11 o'clock at night, fall asleep, do it on repeat. Do the kids know about that? No. Do I want them to know about it? No. I just want them to be able to get on that field and do the best they can, or as a teacher, show up, have the best lesson I can to really make an impact on them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's awesome. That's what really makes it about the athletes and the kids and whatnot. And it's like it's all the hard work and effort that you're putting in. Like they'll see it through your coaching. They'll see it through the
Right.
effort that you're giving them, and they'll know it. They'll feel that. So
Exactly.
Well, I think that's probably everything we wanted to talk about today.
I think so.
Dr. Tom, any other questions?
No, I was very excited to have you on today, Luke. Thank you for
Yeah,
joining me. Appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Privileged
Luke,
to
do you have a final comment for us?
final comment. Just be yourself.
Wow.
Don't allow anyone to impact who you are just to fit into a box. Just be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I'm not going to cry. Well, we're done. Done for the day,
Well,
people.
I feel coached.
um, thank you and have a nice day.